Hey class, today in math class we're going to go over angles. We're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about what angles are, and then we're also going to talk about how we measure them. So I have a PowerPoint to go over, so I'm going to share that. I'm also going to share the computer sound because we will be watching a video. So let's go ahead and just start here. All right, so angles and how to measure them. And we'll go over, by the end, you might not be able to understand this entire thing. This is actually a pretty complicated shape, but I think that you'll understand a bit more what is going on here. So the first thing we have to ask is the question, what are angles? And angles are basically the space where two lines or rays, remember we've gone over those before. A ray is like a segment where one side keeps going on, the other one has a point. So it's where either two rays or two lines or two line segments will insert or touch, and that creates an angle. Angles need to have a point where there are two segments that are clearly crossing or meeting. So if these don't actually meet or cross, then there's not actually an angle that's being formed there. So there are usually 3 points that we use when we create an angle, and we abbreviate each point with a letter, like you can do A, B, C, one letter for each point. And this is how you actually name angles. And one important point on that is the middle point, the point where the two lines end up meeting, like here. This would be the vertex. And the vertex is important because that is kind of what forms the angle. The lines run off of the vertex. So let's look at these pictures here. Now, which of these do you think is an angle? Any point angle? Yeah, that's right. It's going to be the bottom left picture here. As you can see, there are 2 points, the two rays here in this case, that converge at a point here that converge at the vertex P. And you can see the other points are labeled M and N. So we would name this angle MPN or NPM. Now I have these other shapes up here because you can see for like a square, the square itself isn't an angle, and a lot of angles themselves don't create full shapes, but there are lots of angles in a shape. As you can see here, there are 4 points to the square where these line segments meet, and these create 4 different angles. And now if we look at a circle over here, kind of on the right side, this is actually interesting. Why do you think, are there angles to this, first of all, and why or why not? I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. Okay, so since this is kind of a trickier subject, or a trickier concept, angles don't actually have any angles. Circles themselves are a little weird because they don't have any sides. So this is just one continuous line or shape going in a circle. There aren't actually points where 2 different line segments will meet. So you can't actually measure any angles in here unless you end up drawing other shapes inside of the circle. So we're moving on. So I want you guys to spend a little bit of time drawing an angle on your own. And this can just be any angle you want. We've gone over what one of them looks like already. So just take some time and go ahead and just draw on your sheet of paper, draw on your notes, just draw an angle. And you know, when you're ready, just go ahead and look up. I'll just give you about 30 seconds to do that. All right, so I hope you all drew, I'm sure you all drew some beautiful angles. You hold it up for me, see? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Nice, nice. I like it. You guys seem to understand what angles are pretty well then. So let's go ahead and move on. How do we measure angles? And this right here, actually, this is what we call a protractor. This is actually used to measure angles, and you can see there are a whole bunch of numbers on it. It's a little bit confusing the first time you look at it. And you're like, I don't even know where to start. Well, I actually have a video. I think he does a pretty good job of just quickly explaining how we're going to measure angles using a protractor.
I like me for me. I'ma be what I'ma be.
Hello everyone. Thank you again for joining me on this problem where we are going to get a little bit more practice and experience with measuring angles using a protractor.
Cool.
So here we want to know what is the measure of angle MLN. So the first thing that we want to do is identify that specific angle on the diagram. So we see angle MLN is formed by the points M, L, and N, with the vertex at point L. So without any numbers or angle measurements given to us on the diagram, we need to ask the question, how can we measure an angle? In our geometry toolbox, we have a protractor, which are commonly used by students as ninja throwing stars, but they can actually also be used to find angle measurements. Don't be that student. Please don't be that student. Okay, so this is how it works. We take our protractor and we see that it has that center marker, and we are going to align it with the point that is the vertex of the angle that we want to measure, in this case, point L. So again, we align that center marker with the vertex point, and we also want the flat horizontal portion of the protractor perfectly aligned with the bottom line, okay, our bottom ray that makes up our angle. So now we can use the top ray, in this case the line that starts at point L and goes through point M, and see what measurement it is aligned with on the protractor. So the protractor shows us that angle MLN has a measure of 60 degrees. So our conclusion is that angle MLN is 60 degrees, and we are finished with this question. So this is a little bit more practice helping you to understand how to use a protractor to find the measure of a given angle. And that's really all there is to it. So I will catch you guys next time. Thank you again for stopping by. You guys are the best. Have a good one.
All right, so that's
Okay, so that's a pretty simple way just to measure angles there. I think it does a pretty good job just going over how to do that. So can someone just briefly explain how do we do that? How do we use it with our protractor? Yeah, good. So I actually have one right here. And there's going to be a little part at the bottom in the center where you're going to put the vertex. You put the vertex there, and then you're going to line up. It's usually easier with the clear ones. Mine isn't clear, so it's a little bit harder. But you're going to measure up the line with the bottom, and then the other segment you'll see running through here somewhere, and you'll go ahead and try to line up the vertex where the line's going, and then you'll see where the line ends up, and whatever number it's on, whatever value it's on, that's the measurement of the angle. So I have a few practice problems I want you guys to go ahead and work on. We'll spend about spend a few minutes on this. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll go back to this in a little bit, but we're actually going to hand out plastic straws for this, and we're going to use these for two activities. This one, and then I'll go over the other one shortly. So we're going to hand out some plastic straws to the class. And this is just fun, you know, a little hands-on you can do instead of writing them down. And it's a lot easier to move them around for activities like this. So if you want to partner up with a shoulder partner, you can, or like an elbow partner, just to share straws, that might be easier for now. We'll do these and then we'll go over in a couple minutes. And then the other activity after is we're going to have you guys just spend a little bit of time making your own shapes and designs with these plastic straws. And this is a little more just like broader application. You guys just kind of make whatever you want, whatever shapes, but something that you want to pay attention to is that these straws are going to be like lines or rays. And so when you're making these designs and shapes, keep in mind what angles are present in that design. And if you guys have the opportunity, be sure to measure them. We'll go around the class once we're done with those, and just have some groups share some of their designs and some of the angles there and there, you know. So we're going to do that. You guys will be able to work in small groups for that. Just keep the noise down to a normal level inside. So yeah, but let's go back here and go over these questions. So first, create a 40-degree angle. Then you'll create a 115-degree angle. Then the third one, you'll create a 90-degree angle. And then the fourth one is going to be a little interesting. Make an angle that is greater than 50 degrees, but less than 80 degrees, and measure it exactly. So this one, I'm not giving you a specific value, but I want you to look at an angle and be able to tell, oh, this falls under this range here. So I'll have you guys worked on that a little bit. And then when you guys are done, just give me a thumbs up. I'll be able to go over the problems with you. Just make sure you guys are understanding it. And then you guys can be able to spend a few minutes on the designs of your own. And then at the end of class, we'll come back together and we will recap. So yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, let's go ahead and work.